Hello everyone, how are you? It is Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape, and it is time for another Make It Monday. Today is May 2nd. I don't know where this year is going. April certainly flew by fast, but anyhow, it's May 2nd. It was kind of another dark gray, icky day here in Minnesota, but I heard that we're going to be possibly in the upper 70s by next week, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that. Let me just pull myself up on Facebook to make sure I'm in the right place. If you're here, give me a quick hello. Hey, Kay, how are you today? Anyhow, I have, let's see, this past week, Saturday, we were going to try to head up along the North Shore in the Duluth, Minnesota area. And the rain was predicted. We wanted to see the waterfalls. There's a ton of waterfalls along Lake Superior. And because of the heavy snowfall that they had and the rain that we've had, they're flowing just huge, huge volumes of water going through. So we wanted to go up there and do that. We're going to take my mom out and meet my niece a little bit and stuff like that up in the Duluth area. But they also predicted cold temps and horizontal rain for the area. And because you're against the lake, it also is much colder temperature-wise than it is a little further away from the edge of the water. So we opted to stay home for that, and that worked out fine because we're going to have some concrete work done at our house starting Wednesday that has required us to empty both our garage and our patio of things. So being home gave us a chance to do that. Did go out for a nice dinner Saturday night in the pouring rain. Realizing that we went to Stillwater, which is just a nice little community along the St. Croix River in our area, and discovered that it was prom night, so it wasn't the best night to be in Stillwater. We were kind of hoping that because it was rainy out and stuff that there wouldn't be a lot of people out, but it was prom night, so there were lots of people out, and there were several bachelorette parties, but we were lucky. We were able to get in, had a great dinner, and spent some time with Sarah, spent some time with my mom, and just had a good good night out. So anyhow, we are here tonight. I am actually going to share with you a fun fold. It's called an exploding card. And my first thought was this was a box type thing that I was going to have to make, and I wasn't quite sure how I felt about that. And when I did a little more research, it isn't quite that. So I've made a couple examples, and then I'm going to walk you through kind of making a masculine version. Hey, Jody, glad you could join us live. Anyhow, make a slightly more masculine version of the card. I'm kind of with the end of the stamp season because today is the last day of the 2021-2022 catalog. And tomorrow will be the first day of the 2022-2023 catalog. I've kind of started pulling out most of my sets that are retiring and things like that. And I'm finding I don't have a lot of masculine stamps and things available, but I think I made a pretty decent job of creating a masculine version of this card. So let me show you the two examples that I've made, and then we will move on from there so that I can actually show you how to make this card. So first of all, I am going to flip my camera around, and I will apologize if I make you sick in the process. Just look at my pretty lighthouse picture on my wall in front of my desk here as I'm flipping the camera, and I will be right back to start things here. Just a moment. Hi Pam, how are you? Okay. Just a couple more adjustments. I hate when I'm watching videos and stuff moves around like this. So I'm trying not to do too much of it for you, but I got to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure I've got things right. Okay, close enough. I'm not going to fuss with it anymore. All right, so anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. So the first card that I'm going to show you is using that beautiful tulip paper that's in the January to June mini catalog, and it's actually called Flowering Fields. I always call it the tulip paper because it's all tulips. But anyhow, here it is with kind of the main color scheme is the Mango Melody and the Evening Evergreen. And then when you open this card up, that's where the exploding part comes from. And so, again, I love these cards. I like to make easy cards. I don't like, for me, card making is supposed to be a relaxing time. And so I don't want to be overwhelmed or intimidated by making a really, really hard card. And at the same time, I like to make cards that look like they were really, really, really hard to make so that I can wow the people that are receiving them. This is one of those cards that kind of fits that category. And so I want to share with you how to make these. Again, it's very easy. So this is just one version. I made a birthday card. I think this is more probably on the feminine side. And then because our new catalog comes out tomorrow, I wanted to feature all of the new in colors in one card. This took me way out of my comfort zone because I don't necessarily know that all the colors go together in the same way that I'd like them to go together. But I did it, and I made a card, and I'm going to share that with you too. And this one is using the Perfectly Penciled Designer Series paper, which is a black and white paper in the new catalog. I used that on my card last week too. And so this is my attempt at using all of the new in colors. I actually used the markers to color all of these in. And so we've got the Tahitian Tide, which is kind of the turquoise one. This flower is made with the Orchid Oasis. I colored this one in with the Sweet Sorbet. This is the Parakeet Party, and this color is the Starry Sky. And then I've used the Tahitian Tide and the Parakeet Party for my base layers on the card. And then when you open it up, I've got my Sweet Sorbet and the Starry Night, and then I colored in some of the black and white paper, just as I did on the front here using the markers to add the color here. And I stamped some of the images that are in a new stamp set called Botanical Layers. And I don't know how I feel about this card or not, but it did, whoops, look, it's coming apart here. It did include all of the new in colors, so I did meet that goal. I'm going to have to get that rubbed back down. So it did meet that goal of using all of the in colors. I may have to play with it a little bit more to see if I can come up with another way to do that. But it is an exploding card, and I don't think it's half bad. All right, let us go ahead and start with the directions on how to make this card. So I am using the Mary Merlot as my card base, basic gray as my accent color, I guess we'll call it. And then the Designer Series paper that I'm using in this one is the Heart and Home Designer Series paper. And again, that is from the January to June mini catalog. And so that will be around beyond tonight. And I'm actually using the back side. This is one that's got different floral prints and stuff on it. But I'm actually going to be using, in this case, this side, and then just the gray and white on the back side for this card. So the pieces that you're going to need for this is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock scored at 4 1/4. And then you also need a 5.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. And I'm going to show you how to score this piece in just a few minutes. And then I have 2 pieces of 5 1/4 by 4 inch Designer Series paper. And those are going to be on the inside of our card. And then I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic gray cardstock. And that will be layered with a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of Designer Series paper. And then for the inside of the card, on the exploding box, you also need, guess what? Carol's missing a piece of Designer Series paper. Surprise, surprise. Not at all. All right, I will get that. I'm not too concerned. Anyhow, you need 2 pieces of designer series paper at 2 1/4, or excuse me, 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. And then you need 2, well, to make the card layout like this, you will also need 2 pieces of basic white at 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. I'm actually going to do my inside a little bit different than what I've done with the other cards. And that was more or less to just accommodate the layout that I'm doing. And so hopefully that is 2 1/2. All right. So feel free to kind of do that with your own card. So again, these are 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. And now my piece is no longer missing because I have 2 of them again. And then what I did on this piece is I also had, I'm missing 2 pieces actually. No worries. This one happens to already be 2 1/2 inches wide, and I just need to trim a little bit off. All right, see how easy it is to fix? Anyhow, I'm going to do my inside just a little bit differently and only have 1 piece of white cardstock. So I've used a piece of foil as well that's 2 1/2 by 2 1/2 inches. And I've just run this through the stripes embossing folder. And then I'm using my Tailor Tag punch for the last time in a class. I'm so sad about that. But haven't quite figured out how I'm going to lay that out yet. But I am going to use it on the front of my card. And then I've also just cut a piece of this metallic mesh ribbon that is carrying over into the new catalog. I don't know if you can really see that. Let me put it on here. So we're going to use that just to add a little to the front of the card as well. Okay, so let's get started first by doing the scoring. And there's actually 3 pieces that we still need to score. Like I said on here, this is just a regular card base, so it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and you scored at the 4 1/4 mark. For these other pieces, we need to score the 2 pieces of designer series paper just on the diagonal. And so to do that, I'm just lining up the 2 corners into the cutting trough. And then you want to make sure that you're using the light colored scoring blade as opposed to your cutting blade. And I just want to make sure that didn't move, and you're just going to run it through so that you've got the score line going right through the middle there. And then I'm going to repeat that here and here. So both of these pieces this is a simple scoring, just right on the diagonals. And then for this piece of cardstock, oops, I guess that's going to be the back. So it's going to get, nope, that's going to be on the front because then I can cover that mark up. We're going to score it at 2 3/4 down the middle, rotate it, and score it again at 2 3/4. Oops. And then we're going to make a diagonal score line too. So we're going to, again, just like we did on those little pieces of paper, we're going to line up the 2 corners diagonally into the trough and just run our scoring blade right over it. Okay, so we end up with 3 sets of score lines, one here, and then diagonally. And that takes care of what we are doing. So I think I'm going to get us started first with layers. So we'll take and fold. I think I have something on my desk that's making things white. I don't know if I had paper dust or what. So we'll just burnish that edge in. And then on the inside of the card, we're going to just put these 2 pieces of paper. And I'll use my adhesive, light touch, angle off to snap it. Yeah, so this week we are going to have our garage floor replaced and replace our patio. Our garage floor's got some really huge cracks and it's been heaving, and our garage door doesn't even sit flat, and so some water's been getting in. It's just time. I don't know how old. It's pretty an old floor. And then our back patio right now is just the old-fashioned patio blocks, you know, green and yellow. And they're all chipping and heaving with the frost and the cold that we get here. So when we go to shovel snow off of it, we always jab ourselves in the stomach when we hit one of the high bricks and stuff. So we just want to square it off. It's kind of a weird shape right now. We're going to square it off and have a slab put in there. Haven't decided yet if it's going to be colored or not, but we'll get there. But that work starts Wednesday morning, so that's kind of exciting. And then when I do this, I actually like, so I've folded it along all the score lines, like you just saw me do. And then I like to take, these pieces are actually going to pop up. Kind of reminds me of those finger things we used to make in grade school. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyhow, I like to tuck everything in the way it's going to be inside the card, and then just burnish it again really well from the outside. And then I'm going to flip it over so I get this side going too. I find that that just works a little bit better for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the assembly of the inside of the card. So to do that, we need these pieces of paper, and then because I'm changing things up just a little bit, I'm also going to use this designer series paper behind here just to add a little bit of color. So this is just creating simple layers and adhering it to the paper. Simply centering it. These two pieces that I put the score line on, I do want to burnish so that they'll fold with the cardstock. You could also cut this in half along the diagonal if you wanted to as well, and then you'd probably have to take a skosh off as well. I've done it both ways, and I kind of find this for me is easier, but if you want to cut it, that's fine too. And I'm just going to add some adhesive. I put way more on here than I needed to. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking. When I go to lay this down, I line up the score line. Of course, there's going to be about an 1/8 inch border, but I make sure the two score lines are lined up pretty well, and that way it's going to bend very easily with the card. And I do put around all 4 edges. It's not necessary to put it down the score line like I did the first time. And if you're really picky, you can have ahead of time your score lines in the right place so that the wood grain goes the same way. I'm not going to be very picky in this instance because I did score it in 2 different directions, and that's just going to add a little more detail to the card. So I say. All right, and then again, I'm just going to come back through and burnish because I do want these to fold pretty well. And if you wanted, you could even, you know, go this way to get that really, really crisp. Okay, then the important thing is when you're putting on these next 2 pieces, just make sure that you have things go in the right direction. Not so important on this step, but it will be when we attach it to the inside of the card. So I can go like this and have my greeting up on top, or I could flip-flop and put my greeting down below. And as long as I'm changing everything up, I'm going to put it below this time. Usually I'd put it up there. Okay, and this again I'm just centering right here in that space. I think that's pretty cool. I ran the foil through the, there's 2 sets of embossing folders, or a 2-piece embossing folder set, the stripes and splatters. And I used splatters on one of my cards last week, so here it is in the stripe version. I like how it looks on the foil. We can set that part aside right now. We'll go to the front of the card, and here we just need to attach this designer series paper to the front of the card. And then I am just going to take, I'm not even going to, this is a little bit longer, I'm just going to leave it like it is. And I'm going to run a series of, a couple strips of my adhesive. And I'm just going to put that right on here. And I'm okay that it's still sticky. And the reason for that is I'm actually going to stick on my sentiment right over that area. So it's going to help hold things in place. One of the things that I'm going to do, and I'm sure you've seen this with other punches and things like that, I want to expand the layer that's underneath my card. So I'm going to kind of center it here as best I can. Stop worrying about it, Carol. And I'm going to go through and just cut it in half. And I'm going to do the same thing with my piece of Mary Merlot. And I can set that aside. And then to expand things, I'm just going to run, I'm going to grab my silicone mat just so I'm sure I don't get any adhesive on the back or on my working area. And I'm going to run a couple strips of adhesive right along the edges here. And then I'm going to start with my basic gray layer, and I'm just going to attach it so that it's kind of right below the corners. And I'll do that with both pieces. You don't have to have it cut precisely in the middle because you'll even it out by your placement on your image. And then, oops, a little adhesive there. I want to repeat the process, but with the Mary Merlot. And again, I'll kind of use my gray corners to get placement on that. If you're hearing panting, the dog just came in from outside. He was probably helping John and got to play some ball. All right. And then let's grab some dimensionals. I need to grab my box because I don't have any left. And this is one where I could use either my black or my white. I'm going to just go ahead and grab some white ones. And the one thing with this card is it is a little bit thicker. So this is one that if you're going to mail it, you may want to go to the post office to see if they're going to require extra postage. I'd hate for you to send it out to somebody thinking you were getting it out to them in time only to find out it required additional postage because of the thickness of it. The pop-up piece inside the card already makes it a little thick, and because I'm putting this up on dimensionals too, I think I'd be pushing it to mail it without extra postage. All right, and I'm just going to center this in the middle of the card. White piece, I really got extra adhesive there. Okay, so that takes care of the extra stickiness from when I put the ribbon on, and it helps layer up and pop out that. And then we're going to put this on the front of the card. So again, I'm just going to put some adhesive and this will be the front of my card. press it down. And then all I've got left to do is put this piece in on the inside of my card. So I find it, what works best for me is, I want to make sure this is down really well. I find it's easiest if I take, well, I lucked out because I forgot to make sure that was the front of my card, but that is actually going to be the base of my card, and it will be covered up anyhow. And I'd kind of lied because I said that this piece was going to be on the bottom. Apparently I put it on upside down so it's back to the top position. It's a Monday. And it's live. And you know what? We can fix anything and make it work. This, I am going to encourage a little bit heavier use of adhesive. And I put it on one side, which is going to be the bottom piece when I set it down here. And I want it placed just below the score line and centered in my card, so I have about the same amount of distance between the two sides. And then you just press it down. And here's the magic part on this one. Oops. Oh, Carol. I may need to get my eraser out for that, huh? On this one, I just put my adhesive on the top piece. Oh dear, you know what? Oh goodness gracious. I am now pulling off my card because otherwise the inside would have been upside down. So this is the top of my card. This is the bottom. This is going to be on the bottom. So again, sorry about that. You're going to put this in the center of your card, just below the score line, making sure it's fairly centered from here to here. And then you're going to bring the top down after you put your adhesive on this part and press it down really well. I like to open my card back up and just rub it because it gives it an extra pop. And then I think I got all the extra tape off that I put on there, so I don't have to worry about it. All right, so then those pieces tuck in, and here we go. You've got your exploding card. Pretty cool, isn't it? And if you put it on right the first time, it really isn't that hard to make. So here's a masculine version of the card. Hope you have the best birthday. Relax and enjoy your day. This sentiment is actually from the Friendly Hello stamp set. And then I liked it because the best birthday kind of matched the font of the relax and enjoy your day, at least the enjoy your day part of it, from the on the horizon stamp set. So that is how I came up with this card. So again, let me just show you 3 different versions of this, and you could make this any type of card. For me, it seems more, oops, that is not my card. It seems more celebratory, so I don't know that I'd use it for a condolence card, but I think it'd be a great birthday card or graduation card, congratulations type card. You could do something fun if there was a baby coming, maybe make it a baby card. Maybe I'll have to try that. So anyhow, here we go with the Flowering Fields featuring Mango Melody and Evening Evergreen. Here we go with Mary Merlot and Basic Gray, and this one is featuring the Heart and Home Designer Series paper. And then this card is featuring all of the new ink colors with that metallic ribbon again. And then I am also using the new Botanical Layers stamps. So 3 different cards, all fun to make. Again, it's a very simple card. I will after this post my measurements in the comments, so that, well, actually I'll post it as part of the description so that you've got that. If you have any questions, just drop me a line, let me know. Otherwise, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video tonight, and I will be sharing another card with you next Monday, same time, same place. And then look for a little surprise video this week. I've got some new product that I've purchased, and I want to share with you a couple of the things that I've gotten. I do not do the huge, hey Terry, thanks for watching, huge purchases, so it won't take long to go through what I have so far. But I did want to share with you because there's some really cool things coming out and some neat paper to play with as well. So till then, take care, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.